Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Investing with Saraan. In this video, I'll be going through my dividend portfolio and the progress that this portfolio has had after a year of investing. My investing journey first started in the beginning of September in 2020 and has been a great learning process throughout the whole year. My dividend portfolio is within my TFSA account and has split into two different brokers, which includes Questrade as well as Wealthsimple Trade. But I currently use Wealthsimple Trade more often. In terms of the rest of the video, I'll show you my returns, my thoughts on Wealthsimple Trade platform, the Questrade platform, and what I plan to do for the future of this portfolio. So let's get into the video by clicking on my Wealthsimple Trade account and then going on my Wealthsimple account. Its current value is around 7.2 to 7.3K with a return of $900 in the last year. The percentages of appreciation or decline that I state below will only consider market return. The additional dividends, referrals, and extra return will be calculated at the end of the video with my spreadsheet. We'll now go through each stock within my Wealthsimple Trade portfolio and see how it's been doing over the last year. The first stock we will look at is AQN on the TSX market. This stock is one of my most recent purchases and was bought to be a nice part of my future Canadian dividend growth investing portfolio. Currently, I have 2 shares of AQN that has an average price of $19.86. Algonquin Power and Utilities Corporation has so far had a disappointing return and appreciation with a small decline of 1.06%. The second stock we will be looking at is CNR on the TSX market. This stock is one of my very first purchases and was bought to be a nice part of my future Canadian dividend growth investing portfolio. Currently, I have 1 share of CNR in my Wealthsimple Trade account, and that has an average price of $135.45. The Canadian National Railway Company has so far had a stagnant return in appreciation with a nice market appreciation in late 2020, but quickly declined in the early months of 2021. Fortunately, the last few weeks have been great for this company as its market return is at 13.7%. The third stock we will look at is DMGI.V on the TSX market. This stock is one of my silliest purchases as it was one of the mistakes that I made as it didn't fit my dividend portfolio at all. Currently, I have 30 shares of DMGI.V and that has an average price of $3.16. DMG Blockchain Solutions Incorporated has so far had a disappointing return in appreciation with a big decline of 60.41%. The fourth stock we will look at is FLT.V on the TSX market. This stock is one of my silliest purchases as well, as it didn't fit my dividend portfolio at all, and instead it fit better with my small account growth challenge portfolio. If you want to see that, check this link up below. Fortunately, it doesn't make up a big percentage in my portfolio. Currently, I have 10 shares of FLT.V, and that has an average price of $1.93. Drone Delivery Canada Corporation has so far had a disappointing return in appreciation in my dividend portfolio with a decline of 39.38%. The fifth stock that we'll be looking at is FTS on the TSX market. This stock is one of my favorite purchases as it fits my dividend portfolio perfectly. Currently, I have 10 shares of FTS in my Wealthsimple Trade account, and that has an average price of $51.05. Fortis Incorporated has had a nice return in appreciation in my dividend portfolio with an increase of 13.45%. The sixth stock we will be looking at is Hive.V on the TSX market. This stock is one of my silliest purchases as well, as it was one of the biggest mistakes I've made as it didn't fit my dividend portfolio and was purchased as a fear of missing out stock. Currently, I have 30 shares, and that has an average price of $5.66. Hive Blockchain Technologies has so far had a disappointing return in appreciation, with a big decline of 26.55%, but fortunately doesn't make too much of my portfolio. The seventh stock that we were looking at is MFC on the TSX market. This stock is one of my most recent purchases and was bought to be a nice part of my future Canadian dividend growth investing portfolio. Currently, I have 40 shares of MSC that has an average price of $24.96. Manulife Financial Corporation has so far been trading sideways in appreciation with a small decline of 1.62%. The eighth stock that we'll be looking at is REI/UN on the TSX market. This stock is one of my biggest positions in my portfolio, and I'm using it as a recovery stock that pays monthly dividends. Currently, I have 91 shares of REI/UN that has an average price of $18.61. RioCan Real Estate Investment Trust has so far been recovering nicely with a nice appreciation of 20.79%. The ninth stock we will be looking at is SRU/UN on the TSX market. This stock is also one of my biggest positions in the portfolio as I'm using it as a recovery stock that pays monthly dividends. Currently, I have 32 shares of SRU/UN and that has an average price of $26.95. Smart Centers Real Estate Investment Trust has been so far recovering nicely with a nice appreciation of 13.68%. The 10th stock that we'll be looking at is T on the TSX market. This stock is a nice part of my future Canadian dividend growth investing portfolio, and I'll continue to add it to my portfolio. Currently I have 7 shares of T, and that has an average price of $25.61. TELUS Corporation has been so far appreciating nicely with an increase of 13.88%. The 11th stock that we will be looking at is at TD on the TSX market. This stock is one of my favorite purchases as it fits my dividend portfolio. Currently, I have 9.058 shares of TD on my Wealthsimple Trade account, and that has an average price of $77.57. Toronto Dominion Bank has a nice return and appreciation in my dividend portfolio with an increase of 5.88%. This 12th stock, or more the rather asset that we'll be looking at, VFV on TSX market. This stock is one of my favorite purchases as it fits a nice growth section in my dividend portfolio perfectly. Currently, I have 8 shares of VFV on my Wealthsimple Trade account, and that has an average price of $93.42. Vanguard S&P 500 Index ETF has a nice return as it appreciated well in my dividend portfolio with an increase of 0.63%. The last asset that we have in my Wealthsimple Trade account is VGRO on TSX market. This ETF is one of my recent purchases as it fits a nice growth section in my dividend portfolio perfectly. Currently, I have 3 shares of VGRO in my Wealthsimple Trade account, and that has an average price of $31.93. Vanguard Growth ETF portfolio has had a small return in appreciation in my dividend portfolio and has had an increase in 63%. Overall, my Wealthsimple Trade account has had a market appreciation of around 14% so far, which is not bad considering the market return of the S&P 500 is around 8 to 10% yearly. Now, we'll be looking at the market return of my Questrade account. The first stock that we'll be looking at is AAPL on the TSX market. This stock is one of my biggest positions in my portfolio and is a nice growth stock. Currently, I have 11 shares of AAPL, and that has an average price of $122.64. Apple Incorporated has so far had a great return and appreciation with a nice increase of 24.36%. The second stock that we'll be looking at is BABA, also known as BABA. This stock is a growth stock position in my portfolio. Currently, I have 4 shares of BABA, and that has an average price of $263.66 US. Alibaba has so far has a pressure from the government, which has caused a big decrease of 34.28%. Third stock that we're looking at is BB. This stock is also a stock position which I regret buying as I bought it at the peak and I fear of missing out. Currently I have 4 shares of BB that has an average price of $25.74. BlackBerry has so far had a big decrease of 54.62% since buying it. The fourth stock that we're looking at is BMO on the TSX market. This stock is a nice part of my dividend income. Currently I have 1 share of BMO, and that has an average price of $81.77. Bank of Montreal has been one of my best appreciating assets with an increase of 55.33%. The fifth stock that we'll be looking at is BNS on the TSX market. This stock is a nice part of my dividend income. Currently I have 1 share of BNS, and that has an average price of $55.85. Bank of Nova Scotia has so far appreciated nicely with an increase of 40.5%. The sixth stock that we'll be looking at is CM on the TSX market. This stock is also a nice part of my dividend income. Currently I have 6 shares of CM, and that has an average price of $101.23. Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce has so far been appreciating nicely with an increase of 43.44%. The seventh stock that we'll be looking at is CNR on the TSX market. I also hold this on my Questrade, and this is one of my first purchases that I bought, and it's a nice part of my future Canadian dividend growth investing portfolio. Currently I have 3 shares on CNR in my Questrade account, and that has an average price of $137.44. Canadian National Railway Company has so far had a stagnant return in appreciation with a nice market appreciation late in 2020, but quickly declined in the early months of 2021. Fortunately, the last few weeks, especially today, has been great for this company as its market return has been 12.05%. The 8th stock that we'll be looking at is EMB on the TSX market. This stock is also a nice part of my dividend income as well as a recovery play for the rest of the year. Currently, I have 54 shares of EMB, and that has an average price of $38.35. Enbridge has been recovering nicely with an increase of 29.93%. The ninth stock that we were looking at is FTS on the TSX market. This stock is one of my favorite purchases as it fits my dividend portfolio perfectly. Currently, I have 1 shape of FTS in my Questrade account, and that has an average price of $51.88. Fortis Incorporated has had a nice return and appreciation in my dividend portfolio with an increase of 11.64%. The 10th stock that we were looking at is NLK. This is a stock position in my portfolio which I regret buying because I bought it at the peak and the fear of missing out. Currently, I have 10 shares of NLK, and that has an average price of $5.95. Nokia has so far had a big decrease of 18.38%, but it doesn't make much of my whole portfolio. The 11th stock that we're looking at is RY on the TSX market. This stock is a nice part of my dividend income, and currently I have one share of RY, and that has an average price of $99.75. Royal Bank of Canada has been appreciating the best with an increase of 29.81%. The 12th stock that we will be looking at is TD on the TSX market. I also hold this on my Questrade account, and it's one of my favorite purchases as it fits perfectly with my portfolio. Currently I have 2 shares of TD on my Questrade account, and that has an average price of $64.87. Toronto Dominion Bank has had a nice run in appreciation, and my dividend portfolio with an increase of 26.61%. The 13th stock, or more rather an asset that we will be looking at, is VDY on the TSX market. This ETF is one of my earliest purchases as it fits a nice growth section in my dividend portfolio that pays nice dividend payments monthly. Currently I have 55 shares of VDY on my Wealthsimple Trade account, and that has an average price of $31.57. Vanguard Growth ETF portfolio has had a small return in appreciation in my dividend portfolio with an increase of 27.01%. The last asset in my Questrade portfolio is VFE that's on the TSX market. This stock is one of my favorite purchases as it fits a nice growth section in my dividend portfolio perfectly. Currently I have 3 shares of VFE on my Questrade account, and that has an average price of $97.12. Vanguard S&P 500 ETF has had a nice return in appreciation in my dividend portfolio with an increase of 4.49%. Now that I've shown you my market returns of Questrade and Wealthsimple account, I'll let you know what my overall return, including dividend return, referral rewards, commission fees, and much more. When you look at the sheet that I've created, it takes into consideration the fees for dividends, stock referrals, rebates, and fees for buys and sells, which is mostly for Questrade. Overall, my return has been 14.1187%, which is not that bad for a yearly return. In the final section, I'll be talking about thoughts about my Wealthsimple Trade account, the Questrade account, and what I plan to do for the future of this portfolio and how I plan to change it. My thoughts on Questrade is that it's a nice platform to buy stocks once in a while as they charge commission fees for purchases and selling processes. Investors will also need to wait 2 to 3 days, and that's business days, for the deposits to go through to their account. One thing I really like is that the market data that they provide, as well as some analyst predictions of the stocks that investors may be considering purchasing. Another aspect that I really like is their ability to convert Canadian dollars into American dollars. With this process, there will be currency conversion fees that will be charged to an investor. But fortunately, there's something called Norbis Gambit, which only costs about $5 to $10 to do a conversion. If you want to learn more about Norbis Gambit and how to do it, make sure you leave a comment down below and comment down about Norbis Gambit. Now we'll look at my thoughts on Wealthsimple Trade. Wealthsimple Trade is a nice platform that's easy to use and visually appealing. It's a commission-free trading platform which entices those who are regular buyers of stocks, ETFs, and other assets. They also offer users that sign up with Wealthsimple with cash that can be used for their investing portfolio by clicking the referral link such as the one I left down below. They've also introduced a new feature of fractional shares which I really find useful for those without much money or want to buy stocks such as Amazon or Shopify or many more. One thing I don't like about Wealthsimple Trade is the commission fee for conversion rates, as well as only allowing Canadian dollars to be implemented in the platform. Hopefully this gets changed, because other than that, this is one of my favorite platforms to use for investing. For the future of this dividend portfolio, I'm deciding to focus more on the dividend growth portfolio to help my account reach dividend payments that give me yearly returns of 10% or more. Example is Enbridge. When I bought it, it was at a 6 to 7% dividend return. Now it's almost at 10% return yearly, which is really good. As long as they keep their market appreciation at the same level, then it will be nice returns yearly. I'll also focus more on ETFs being a large part of my portfolio, as it gives more stability and growth for the years to come. I'll also start to give more updates on my TFSA portfolio every week to help investors and subscribers to understand what my thought process is during the week. But now that you've seen my 1-year progress of self-directed investing, remember to punch that subscribe button down below and drop a like. Remember to click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. It's been Saraan, and join me next time where I talk about my dividend income for the month of August. Bye for now.